So a deal has been struck between Hamas and Israel to have a 4-day ceasefire. Now, I say between Hamas and Israel, when what I really mean is between Hamas and America. Israel doesn't want this ceasefire. It's being forced on them by the Biden administration, who most likely only wants a ceasefire because of public pressure. A very vocal portion of the Democratic base, almost all of whom have never put on a military uniform a day in their life, is unhappy that Biden isn't doing more to stop Israel from removing the threat posed to it by terrorists. I mean, there's almost nothing better than a group of people thousands of miles around the world who are safe in their own homes without the fear of being attacked themselves, telling another country how to defend itself after suffering a brutal massacre by the hand of terrorists who promise to do it again and again. And if you think the Israelis are happy about it, here's what they have to say.
This deal has been negotiated on the basis that Hamas wants a ceasefire. Hamas wants to be saved from the Israeli military. The Israeli military is determined to eradicate the Hamas. It is not something that we want to do. It's something that we have to do. There is no way that Israel can continue living in any form with Hamas over the border. It is a very, very bad deal for Israel in many, many ways. First of all, militarily, it's not an easy deal.
That is Rami Igarashi, former chief of hostages at MIA, and he sounds just like Hanukkah came early. Can't you hear the excitement in his voice and how much he loves this ceasefire? So, what do Israelis get out of this? They get hostages that were only taken for this very purpose. They get to let Hamas take a breather so that way they can plan their next steps on how to kill Israelis. That's the part that people don't like to talk about. I actually find it pretty odd that people avoid this situation and don't just bluntly bring it up. Why don't people just come out and say that they want Israelis to take their foot off the gas so that Hamas can kill more Israelis? That's what's going to happen. There's no reason to pussyfoot around this either. Israel and Hamas have a very long history of ceasefire. It'll probably surprise none of you that Hamas has broken every single ceasefire. None of the Biden supporters seem to care about the Israelis and the soldiers and their children and all the citizens that get killed every time Hamas does this. What does Biden get for this? Well, he's hoping for a boost in the polls. Here's what the New York Times has to say. White House officials, speaking on the 5 weeks of sensitive negotiations that led to a deal, said the agreement would include the release of 3 Americans, 2 women, and a toddler. The officials said they would continue to push for the release of all U.S. hostages. The deal came at a time when Democrats are increasingly divided over Mr. Biden's embrace of Israel, particularly as the civilian death toll in Gaza grows, as the polling shows the president receives low marks for handling the crisis ahead of the re-election campaign. The Biden administration is hoping to turn this 4-day ceasefire into a long-lasting ceasefire. The Israeli government and military have been very clear. That is not going to happen. While the West is looking for a way to end this as its populations are growing wary of long drawn-out conflicts, its population hasn't had to worry about attacks from terrorist groups yet. That is, outside of the military personnel who have been attacked by Iran-backed terrorist groups. I mean, that seems rather important. People don't seem to think about that either. But hey, maybe this ceasefire is going to be the actual one that brings long-lasting peace to this troubled region. But I'm a betting man, and I'm betting Hamas is going to use this ceasefire to try to do more damage to Israel. And Israel will use this as an opportunity to show the world that you cannot negotiate with terrorists. Maybe this time the world will learn that lesson.